Does God want a separation of church and state? Should Christians be voting biblical principles? Does it really matter who you vote for? Join Pastor Jerry Cook as he endeavors to answer these and many other questions over the next hour on Politics in the Pulpit. And now, Pastor Jerry Cook.
Good afternoon and welcome to Politics in the Pulpit here on your hometown station. This is KHTS, AM 1220 and FM 98.1. This is your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita, back for another opportunity to talk about the two things that no one is supposed to talk about out loud, politics and religion. And as our intro says, do they mix? I guess we'll find out here over the course of the next hour. We have a in-studio guest coming in at the bottom of the hour. Patsy Ayala, who is running for Santa Clarita City Council, will be joining us in studio in about 20 minutes or so. So we'll be talking to her about her run and about her plan and vision for Santa Clarita. So that'll be at the bottom of the hour. Wanted to give you a quick couple of shameless plugs. Freedom's Way Baptist Church will be hosting the Santa Clarita Valley Concert Band on June 29th for our Independence Day concert. Note, it's called Independent Day Concert, but it's not on Independence Day. So that means all the music featured at this particular event will be patriotic in nature, and that will be on June 29th at 6 p.m. at Freedom's Way Baptist Church. You can find us on the web at freedomswaybaptistchurch.com. .org, I'm sorry. It used to be .com for so many years. freedomswaybaptistchurch.org. And then also, if you are curious to meet, Lord willing, the gentleman who might be the new Los Angeles District Attorney, if you would like to meet Nathan Hochman, he'll be at our church on June 30th, Sunday morning at 10:30 for our annual Red, White, and Blue Sunday. I'd encourage you to get there early. We have a color guard and all that, and they are going to start right at 10:30 sharp. So I'd encourage you to be there if you would like to meet Nathan Hochman. There's also a lunch fellowship after the morning worship. A quick update for those of you in Santa Clarita. This is from the LA County Fire Department. There's been significant progress on the post fire. Many of us, of course, last week were maybe barbecuing or something in our backyard, and all of a sudden we realized, wow, this is quite some smoke from my barbecue, when in actuality it was this 15,000 plus acre post fire there in Gorman. And so it seems like they've got about 40% containment. I've got some friends that are on the front lines right now as we are on air fighting that fire. So if you would, pray for the safety of those that are on the front lines, and that will be putting out this fire completely, Lord willing. The good thing is there's no smoke in the air. The other day I was leaving to go to Morro Bay, and man, it was just thick in the air. And Sunday was bad, and Saturday evening was bad. And so just be careful about those of you out there that have bronchial issues and asthma and what have you. But hey, listen, 40% containment, not bad. So continue to pray for those folks out there up in the Gorman area. As I said, I was up in Morro Bay, and I hadn't been up in that area for the last couple of years. I drove through there not too long ago, but spent some time there in 2018. You know, California is a beautiful, beautiful city, a beautiful state, excuse me. And I cannot understand why so many people would just uproot themselves from this wonderful, beautiful state and flee it and go to some other state. Now, some of you say, well, cost of living, the middle class is being squeezed to where we've only got the haves and the have-nots, and, all of that is true. But I was just speaking to Carl DeMille the other day, and we were talking about the current poll numbers in California. This is from Public Policy Polling. And, finally things are starting to kind of switch in California. The the apple is turning, if you will, here in the state of California. And usually we're one of the last states to finally get it, that liberalism and leftism and progressive policies just don't work. If they worked, then why aren't they working? And so I was reading some of this polling as we were talking over the phone the other day, and a good plurality of folks are finally saying, yeah, Democratic control of the state of California has really not been all that good. And I'm just glad that finally people of all political stripes are finally getting it. Now, does that mean that that's going to translate to Steve Garvey winning in November? I don't know. Most of the folks that I'm listening to online say that, California is still a safe blue state, and they're probably, 95% right. But we've got to do everything we can to get Steve Garvey in there. You say, well, he's not quite the Republican that I want him to be. He's going to be light years better than pencil neck Schiff. I mean, face it, folks. We need a common sense conservative in California that will represent us in Washington in the Senate. We got to do everything we can to get Steve Garvey in there. And we've got to do everything we can to get local officials in as well, from our school boards all the way to the state legislature and state senate and Congress. We've got to do it. Water board, everything. If we don't, we lose our state from the bottom up. And folks, don't become cowards and leave the state of California. Do not cede the state to the enemy and the progressives. And I only mean that in terms of theology and in terms of the ideology. I'm not saying that there are enemies in the sense that they're mortal enemies. They might feel that about us, by the way, especially Christians. But I don't see them as enemies. I see them as souls that need to come to Christ. That's what I see. I see them as souls who need to come to Christ, who are just totally bought in to a worldview that is absolutely vapid. And one of the things that I'm seeing happening, especially as we come into the election of November 5th, by the way, is less than 5 months away, and polling for Biden is not great, and it's just getting, I just don't see any way that Biden can turn this thing around. I mean, barring some miracle from on high, I just don't see it, folks. And now the White House is spinning all the videos that are showing Joe Biden to be exactly what he is, which is an old 81-year-old man. And they're now spinning it, saying these are fake videos, and that they're basically saying to us, the average individual, you are not seeing what your eyes are seeing. That is essentially where we are in modern politics. Your eyes are not seeing what your eyes are seeing. You're not seeing Biden stand there frozen at a early Juneteenth celebration at the White House. You're not seeing Biden step away from a bunch of world leaders and talk to supposedly some guy who just came down from a parachute jump while over in Europe, or in Italy, excuse me. I mean, seriously, folks, this is what the White House spin is going to be going in to 2024. And one of the things that I'm seeing develop is this rift between, is America a democracy or is America a republic? Now, for average Americans, maybe you've not thought about this, but America is a republic. It is not a, quote, pure democracy as the left would have us to believe, and even some on the right. Some on the right parrot this notion that we are a, quote, democracy. And you're hearing this, you've been hearing this since Donald Trump got elected in 2016. Democracy's in peril. Democracy's in trouble. Trump is against democracy. Blah, 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 blah. Listen, we are a republic. And I want you to listen to this clip. It's a rather lengthy clip. We're going to play a little over a minute of it. But it was a CNN reporter just totally distraught, asking a bunch of Trump voters what a democracy is, what a republic is, what are the distinctions between the two, and listen to how they frame this argument, like as if Trump voters are the ones saying we're a republic, and somehow making it seem like there's a conspiracy here. Folks, we're in a republic, but listen to this if you would.
At the close of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787, legend has it that a woman called out to Benjamin Franklin to ask what kind of government the delegates had created. Franklin responded, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." A republic? Shouldn't Franklin have said, a democracy? Isn't that what we have in the United States? Most people today would say yes. After all, if our country isn't a democracy, what is it? It's not a dictatorship, the rule of one man, or an oligarchy ruled by a small group. In America, the people are in charge. That's literally what democracy means in the original Greek. Demos, kratos. The people, demos, rule, kratos. But let's pause for a moment and consider more deeply what the word means in practice and why the delegates in Philadelphia rejected it. That's right, rejected it. Our government was established by a national charter, the Constitution of the United States. We are governed by the institutions and according to the rules and principles created and adopted when our forebears ratified that document, making it the supreme law of the land. Are those institutions, properly speaking, democratic?
Ironically, that wasn't the clip that I really wanted you to hear, but I think that does set the tone for what I want to say. Benjamin Franklin did indeed say, when walking out of the Constitutional Republic, he said, or Constitution Hall, he said, as a lady yelled at him and said, what have we got here? And Benjamin Franklin is noted to have said, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." Our Pledge of Allegiance here in the United States of America say these words: "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." It doesn't say, "and to the democracy for which it stands." Some people would like to say, well, democracy and republic are interchangeable. Well, maybe that's how folks today would see it. See, the problem is most people don't study hard enough and don't understand the denotative usage of a word and the connotative usage of a word. And so therefore, people are just going to listen to whatever's on the social media site, whatever TikTok video they're looking at. And we're in this environment today where nobody really wants to open a book, nobody really wants to do any real deep study into something on their own. They're relying on a quick 2 to 3 minute YouTube video or something on Instagram or something that their friend likes to say over and over again, or what you might see on the news media, which again are just very brief clips. And democracy and republic are not interchangeable. Maybe it is today, but it wasn't originally interchangeable. Here are some of the things that some of our founders said when it comes to this notion of democracy. James Madison said this: "Democracies have been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths." That's what James Madison said about democracies. John Adams said this: "Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit a suicide." Fisher Ames, author of the House Language for the First Amendment, the First Amendment, the important First Amendment, said this, quote, "A democracy is a volcano which conceals the fiery materials of its own destruction. These will produce an eruption and carry desolation in their way. The known propensity of a democracy is to licentiousness, which the ambitious call and ignorant believe to be liberty." How about John Quincy Adams? He said this about democracies, quote, "The experience of all former ages had shown that of all human governments, democracy was the most unstable, fluctuating, and short-lived." Benjamin Rush, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, said, quote, "A simple democracy is one of the greatest evils. Real quickly, how about this? Noah Webster. Yeah, the guy that gave us our dictionary, right? He said, quote, "In democracy, there are commonly tumults and disorders. Therefore, a pure democracy is generally a bad government. It is often the most tyrannical government on earth." I got to give you just one more. This is what Noah Webster said, quote, "Our citizens should early understand that the genuine source of correct Republican principles is the Bible, particularly the New Testament or the Christian religion." Did you get that? Let me say that one more time. For those of you out there that have a really tough time with this notion of whether we can talk publicly about politics and religion. Here's what Noah Webster said. Noah Webster, the guy that gave us our dictionary, the proper English we used to speak in America, but now it's been dumbed down. Here's what he said. "Our citizens should early understand that the genuine source of correct Republican principles, Republican, not Republican in the sense of a political party, but republic in the sense of our nation, the founding of our nation, the understanding of our nation and its government." He says, "Our citizens should early understand," early meaning taught early in their lives, in school or through their parents, "that the genuine source of correct Republican principles is the Bible, particularly the New Testament or the Christian religion." And you say, why did Noah Webster say that? Let me tell you why. Because all the founders who gave us our, quote, Republican government, our Republican form of government, our republic if we can keep it, as Benjamin Franklin said, got their understanding for elections from the book of Exodus and the book of Deuteronomy, the Old Testament. Here's what Exodus 18, verse 21 says. "Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands," presidents, "rulers of hundreds," senators, congressmen, "rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s," all the way down to the city level, to the township level, folks. They got their principle for our country from the Old and New Testaments of the Bible. As I had mentioned at the top of the hour, we do have an in-studio guest who decided to come in the flesh, not call in like some folks like Jason Gibbs. But no, we have Patsy Ayala, who is running for Santa Clarita City Council, and I was just chatting with Patsy right before the show started on the second hour. Patsy Ayala was born in Mexico City, and you're going to detect a slight accent, not very heavy, but a slight one. She has been in our community for over 20 years here in Santa Clarita, and she's smart. She's got a bachelor's degree in computer management. She has got a certificate studies in marketing through Wharton University and politics through Yale. Oh, she's Ivy League. She has worked for Senator Scott Wilkes. She has worked for Suzette Valadares. She's running for city council here in Santa Clarita. She's the vice chair of Planning Commission. She knows everything about Vallarta because she was there the other day. Patsy Ayala, welcome to Politics in the Pulpit.
Hola, gracias por tenerme aquí. Thank you for having me here. Just
I want to sing
add a little Spanish there.
Yeah.
Let's talk in English.
You know what? Let's start singing some Los Panchos songs right now. A little Nosotros. No, I'm just kidding. Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
That was my Edie Gourmet, who used to sing with Los Panchos, but that's a long time ago. We won't talk about that anymore.
Great pronunciation, Jerry.
My Espanol is not all that great. However, I want to know a little bit about the opening of the big Vallarta distribution center offices right here in Santa Clarita. You were there just the other day.
Oh my God, it was amazing. I want to share that with all our listeners in Santa Clarita because, Vallarta Supermarkets is a huge brand in the Southern California and growing in California in general. And now they have their headquarters here in Santa Clarita.
We have their headquarters.
Yes, and it's a big building full of people. They are employing a lot of people, not only here that they are going to be in the building of Santa Clarita, but also in all the stores that they have around California, and it's amazing. It's it's an American dream. It's the dad that started working here, and then they started growing. Now the entire family is involved, and they brought also a professional from the whoever is from Texas, you're gonna know. Do you know the HEB supermarkets in Texas? They are like Ralph's here, and the person that was operating that is now running here the operation for the Vallarta supermarket. So no wonder it's so professional and with products. And I'm super happy that we have that in Santa Clarita, not only for employment, but also, it's bringing more companies to create economic development in the region and
Well,
being part of it.
Considering you're part of Vice Chair for Planning Commission, did you have any input in this whole situation with Vallarta?
No, that was before my time.
Okay.
But I was happy to welcome in them because
Absolutely.
I'm also the chair for the Santa Clarita Chamber of Commerce Latino Business Alliance. So that is a group, that is a council with Latino business owners, but also for the general market. In case you want to reach out that market, I highly recommend it because, it's the fastest growing economy. And that way you can connect with us and we can put you in contact with that market or let you know how to get that market. So it's my thing has been always building bridges, and that's why I'm happy to be part of the chamber with that effort.
Well, I'm glad you're wanting to build bridges and Pastor Cook wants to keep blowing them up. But nevertheless, I want to ask you a little bit about your family. I had the privilege of meeting your husband a few times, as well as one of your children. And you've been at the church at least one time. I've seen you at a couple of other events with your husband. Tell us about just the dynamic of running in a city council race and also maintaining a family life.
They are being so supportive. When we arrived here, my husband and I, 24 years ago, we didn't know anybody. My boys were born and raised in Santa Clarita, and one thing that we did, it was just get involved in the community. So that's a normal thing for my kids. They have been in the Scouts, they have been in the Taekwondo, they have been in many activities. So you all parents in Santa Clarita, you know what I am talking about. When they have soccer, they have baseball, they have Scouts. So with the Scouts, they have been very involved serving the community. And also, since I was working for almost 10 years in the state of California, they were my interns and they were going with me to the places and see different people with different backgrounds. And they were with me, helping me to do events with the state of California. So it's like a natural thing to be part of the community. Now, of course, they are my cheerleaders. And that's beautiful when you feel the support and the faith that the family has in you. And talking about faith, I'm a person of faith. So yes, also I was born and raised Catholic. I studied in Catholic schools, and I've been involved also with the church where my kids are going for the Scouts, and that's part of the service that they have been doing to around Santa Clarita. So
one of the things that we've heard for years, Patsy, is that the Latino community tends to be more democratic. They, the Democrats, of course, have been courting the Latino vote for years and years and years. And people just think if they come across the borders, they're automatically going to vote Democrat. But obviously here you are, and I know many folks from Mexico who are living here who do not adopt the Democratic way of thinking, and yet you have I would say, a more conservative mindset. Is that accurate?
yeah, maybe that's why, because I was a person that it was in a conservative family in Mexico. But I respect everybody. I think that when you respect everybody's beliefs and you get in a more peaceful community. I respect everybody's political point of view.
Even if they're wrong.
Even if they're wrong.
Very good.
Probably they think even if Patsy is wrong. But I think the first thing is to be respectful. And once you get respectful, there are things that we can work together for the betterment of our community. And I always try to put aside any extreme that will break, for example, a long-time friendship, because a person can be incredible. I'm going to continue, of course, being in touch with the people regardless of their political point of view, but I am very transparent of what I bring to the table in my case, and I'm bringing a lot of experience in government. I brought, and that it doesn't has to do with parties. I've been a problem solver, and that's what we want for the city. I have a strong background in government, and I learned that with the state of California. I got so many certifications and trainings when I was there in the Senate, in the Assembly, that now it's like in a backpack that I'm bringing with me to share with the city, with all the things that I learned that worked also in other cities, because at the end, between the Assembly and the Senate, I represented 23 cities, and I saw the good, the bad, oh yes, definitely this,
And the ugly.
and the ugly, exactly. But this is my time to construct. I feel that I am a self-made person, and with independent thinking. Of course, I have base and principles that I'm bringing. I respect the honesty and transparency, and that goes with government too. Regardless of what side of the aisle you are, transparency in government and accountability is good at any level.
So you would consider yourself somebody who's going to bring common sense back to the city council, common sense back to government.
Exactly. And now in Santa Clarita, we have, I've been living here for 24 years. The city has been changing. And in terms of demographics, the district that I am running, that is District 1, New Holland Canyon Country, is 73% diverse in terms of race. And I'm not saying that you should be like only focusing on races. I just want to share that I understand those groups. And I want to unite that to create a good community with unity, so we can work together for the things that are happening in our city. And also with that, I not only have that understanding. When I say minorities by race, there are other minorities that I've been very proud of serving, like the veterans and women, people with disabilities. But using that experience that I have, reaching out and serving those communities, it's like, everybody, the community is not made by one, it's made by many. And how can we serve better everybody? It's like, first is to understand each group, and then what we have in the city, what we can do, because it's like, I also have like my marketing look to see who you are going to be marketing, because before I had a PR and marketing agency, before being a public servant, you were seeing what's the market, and then you see what are the needs, and then you bring solutions.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring to the city. You need to understand who lives here to bring solutions for their needs.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you like most about Santa Clarita, and what about Santa Clarita do you want to keep going? In other words, you want to invest in this community, obviously, but there is a difference between Santa Clarita and Sylmar. And that's no disrespect to Sylmar and the folks of Sylmar. But once you cross the Newhall Pass on the 5, there is a difference between Valencia, Santa Clarita, and the San Fernando Valley. Does Patsy Ayala want to erase that distinction, or do we want to keep that distinction?
I think Santa Clarita is a very unique city, beautiful city. I'm so happy to live here. And I think it's not that I think. One thing, let me take out that one thing.
Okay.
One thing that it makes us very unique is the safety that we have here. Of course, we need to keep on focusing on that. At least we need around 30% of the budget of our city to keep it the way it is. That's safe, because regardless of what are the cities around, when you arrive to Santa Clarita, wherever you are coming from, south, north, east, west, you feel safer. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that many families like us, they live happy here, because they have that peace of mind. And that's, of course, when you say different, I'm not focusing in the cities around, even though I represent some of the cities that were around. For me, keeping the curse of Santa Clarita, because I think the city council members have been doing a great job, is continuing the course, but strengthening the power with the power that all the new things that we can bring to serve our constituents with probably new services for the families. Because one of the things that the city of Santa Clarita is very proud is about all the youth activities and family-oriented events that we have here in Santa Clarita.
Open spaces, parks.
Yes, and that's part of it, exactly. All the recreational. And now we have also some entertainment that we have, of course, the events that the city is hosting, like the census. I love the Celebrate that is in the Canyon Country Community Center during the months that are warmer. We have every month we are celebrating one country. We started with Brazil, South Korea, and the next one is going to be Cuba. At the end, we're going to have Germany. And, without traveling, you're going to be having the opportunity to meet these different cultures. It's not only fun, it's educational, and the city of Santa Clarita is bringing many options. I want to continue doing that and maybe bringing new things also for after school, and to keep not only our youth entertained, but to form them with character and leadership and the positive things that they can get while they are growing in Santa Clarita. And before they go to college.
If folks want to help you, they want to donate to you, they want to walk the streets for you, where would they reach you, Patsy?
You can go to patsyayala.com. Let me spell you my last name.
Please, spell it.
It's Ayala. Ayala, exactly. You can pronounce it whatever you want. Who I am to say people how to pronounce things.
It's Patsy Ayala.
PatsyAyala.com. You can look for me on Facebook and Instagram, Patsy Ayala for City Council. And I can tell you I'm super excited because I'm not only feeling the love of the people. I know I can do this. I'm prepared. I'm totally City Council material. And because one of the threats that I see on Santa Clarita, it's, for example, the policies that are happening in Sacramento. I have the understanding of what is happening there, what is a legislative year, how can we advocate for Santa Clarita. And thank God for the opportunity that I got in working with the Senate and the Assembly. I met other cities that I can, of course, if I see something is good for Santa Clarita, I can reach out to other cities and explain why something is good to advocate for our cities and not be a lonely voice, be a team of voices
I think
for our city.
One of the things our folks want to know, and I think this is probably the most important question, is let's say you win. Are you going to be able to work alongside Jason Gibbs?
Well, I'm material to work with everybody.
There was a little bit of joke there, but anyway, because Jason's such a pain.
He is super nice with everybody. I think that's one of my signatures, that I am always like super open to listen to everybody, and I have good relationship with everybody in the city council, because I'm a bridge constructor. Remember.
Oh, that's true. And I'm the guy that likes to blow them up. By the way, I hope you don't get any flack for coming on to Politics in the Pulpit today. I hope that folks say, hey, I'm glad that you were able to talk to Pastor Cook, and I'm glad that he didn't bite you or do something mean, because, I have my detractors out there.
Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity, because this is for me an opportunity to talk to everybody, and I'm open for everybody that give me a chance to explain myself, introduce myself. But also for me, it's important to know about you.
Yeah.
I want to know about every person that has any input for the city.
Last 10 seconds here. Give us Patsy Ayala what?
PatsyAyala.com.
Cook, I wanted to finish out with a couple of quick stories here. The first thing that I want to mention is, here we are, June 19th, and we are halfway, if not a little more than halfway through the month. And do you notice a difference in this year's celebration of Pride Month from last year's or even the year before? In my opinion, again, maybe it's because my head's, in the sand or something, but it seems to me that this year's Pride Month celebration has been a bit more low-key than the last couple years. I mean, if you remember last year, Target was in an uproar. People were in uproar about Target, I should say, because of their huge Pride section, about their tuck-friendly bathing suits and all the weird things that Target was doing. And then finally, because the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, as soon as money started being depleted from Target funds, Target realizes, wow, maybe we shouldn't go so full overboard on this whole tuck-friendly trans pride junk. I'm just noticing it's a little more subdued this year. Now, again, any kind of recognition is still kind of for me, but I'm just noticing that it's a bit more subdued. I'm not into talking to gay people, but I will say that I spoke to a couple in the last couple of months, one of which was my own family member. And even they are saying that the whole Pride Month thing is out of hand. They're like, wow, this is not a representation of who I am or who we are. At least this is them speaking for themselves and others. But I was just in Prescott, Arizona a few weeks ago talking to my cousin, who happens to identify in this particular vein. And he is totally aghast about what has been done the last couple of years in the month of June. So I just think that it's good that the public has finally pushed back, or at least enough of the public has pushed back against this overt celebration of what is aberrant and is not, in my opinion, abnormal. But again, that's just my opinion, folks. But the fact is, there's a libertarian side of me that says, you keep all that stuff behind closed doors and stop bringing it into libraries and displaying it in front of kids and, grinding in front of kids at parades. I say you should probably do that. But anyway, that's just me. The other thing that I wanted to highlight real quick is something that is just going to totally blow the heads off of our atheist friends out there, if any of you atheists are listening. But this is a article that I just came across. It says, Louisiana becomes first state to require 10 Commandments to be displayed in public school classrooms. Oh, no. What is this country coming to? Folks, if you're worried about that, just know that all we're doing is reverting back to our origins as a country. Every school, every place of government, federal and state, had a copy of the 10 Commandments, and most of the time it was on display. You can find a display of the 10 Commandments right now in Washington, D.C. But let me just read this article. Louisiana, I just deleted it. Here we go. Louisiana is the first state to successfully pass legislation requiring the display of the 10 Commandments in public, including state-funded universities, since the Supreme Court voted 5-4 to banish the tenets from America's classrooms in 1980. And folks, just ask yourself this question. How's school been going since 1980? Efforts to restore the commandments to public schools are active in other states, including Texas, Oklahoma, and Utah, although none so far have been successful. The bill outlines that no state funding is to be used to place the 10 Commandments into public school classrooms. Rather, schools may accept donated funds to purchase displays or accept donated displays. Now, let me ask you a question. What's so wrong about displaying the 10 Commandments? It's not an endorsement of a religious belief, because there's at least two religious beliefs that believe the 10 Commandments. You've got Old Testament Judaism, and you've got New Testament Christianity. I don't think Louisiana is endorsing Judaism, and I don't think they're overtly endorsing Christianity. Can I say something to you? I'll bet most of you believe that it's wrong to steal. I'll bet most of you believe that it's wrong to commit adultery against your spouse if you're in a covenanted relationship called marriage. I believe that most of you probably believe that it's good to honor your father and mother. I believe that most of you think it's probably good not to murder. And guess what? All of those tenets come straight from the Ten Commandments. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the hour, the Founding Fathers had no problem with this. I mean, like 95% of them. Even the deists, like Thomas Jefferson, who, by the way, was a horrible deist because he quoted the Bible profusely, and Thomas Paine, who wrote Common Sense, who would be more of the, fall into the more of the deistic camp. These guys knew their Bibles, and they quoted from the Scriptures, both Old and New Testaments, quite regularly. It was part of their conversation. It was part of their fiber. And here we are in 2024, and some of us are aghast that the state of Louisiana would even dare post the Ten Commandments. Folks, the Ten Commandments were there for years. And all I'm saying is I think we're just kind of reverting back to the origins of our country, and that's a good thing. Now, were there a lot of good things about the origins of our country? Of course not. Today is, quote, Juneteenth, which became a, quote, federal holiday a few years ago. There's some things to celebrate about this. Hey, slavery was bad, but yet America shouldn't be constantly beaten over the head over that, because there's slavery happening in the world right now, and no leftist wants to talk about it. All they want to do is complain about it in America, where they can complain about it without being enslaved or thrown into prison because of something called the First Amendment. It's amazing. It's not anywhere else in the world, just right here in the great old United States. So I applaud the state of Louisiana. I hope Texas, Utah, and some of these other states like Oklahoma follow suit, and I hope that it just blows our atheist friends' minds out of the water. We'll catch you next week here on Politics The Pulpit. Thanks for tuning in on your hometown station.